Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the live demo of the new phishing automation playbooks. So first and foremost, I hope that you are all well and safe. My name is Eric Ferron. I'm with ServiceNow in Santa Clara, California. And today, joining us, we have Deepak Kolingivadi and Will Brannan. Hi, Deepak.
Hello, Eric.
So you're there. That's great. How are you today?
Yeah, doing well, Eric.
Good. All right, excellent. Hi, Will.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. Today, we're going to be together for just under an hour. We're going to start with Will, who will set up the scene quickly for us. And he will be followed by Deepak for the actual demo. So for the audience, you are most welcome, of course, to post your questions. Please do use the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of your screen in Zoom when there are questions for the speakers. If you want to speak to me for any issues, use the chat. That's fine also. This event is recorded and the recording will be available later this week, as usual, on the community forum. So enough of me. Will, I think that the floor is yours for the intro.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join us here. I'm just going to level set, give a brief intro into security incident response, a little bit about kind of what we're seeing from a trending and why, and then kind of core construct. And then Deepak is going to jump directly into the awesome phishing enhancements that we put in place and have posted out online. So without further ado, just essentially getting us started, I think we all probably understand this, but for anybody that isn't familiar with what's facing us today, this is a lot of the analysis that we've put together as an organization with multiple other third-party research institutes. And essentially, the key things that keep coming to framework for the common customer is the inability to prioritize, right? So being able to identify quickly and understand what we need to focus on. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Context, resources, etc. And then the fact that once we do identify what we're going to work on, right, whether it's correct or not, just the manual and a lot of times delayed processes, right? So the fact that it's hard to get a hold of resources, it's a very manual step to go through and enrich events and essentially workflow through the processes. So, as you're probably also aware, the threat landscape isn't getting any better. As a matter of fact, we saw a pretty significant spike with the pandemic that we're all facing today with phishing, right, and the exploitability or attack of the on our organizations, right, trying to exploit our end users, right, our most vulnerable populations. So we're continuing to see all the trending facing upward, and things aren't getting any better. So what ServiceNow is bringing to the table, and really what we're here to talk about today is kind of a specific area of this, but it's overall our security incident response product. So as a leader for many, many years in the IT service management space, very similar type processes, right, are following us into the security space to help us really drive efficiency, consistency into the process. So if you look at what we're doing with security incident response, ultimately the ability to be able to manage events of interest coming into a platform, centralizing and focusing on enrichment and contextualizing what we know about the environment, the event, etc., pulling all that data together and driving advanced workflows, whether they're automated or even just consistent workflows, driving increased efficiency into the organization and improved collaboration across the environment. This is a little visual. I won't spend a lot of time going through this on a lot of the security ecosystem components of our security incident response, all the way from the left side of all the different inputs and aspects that we're getting data and aggregating sources throughout the environment, the ServiceNow platform workflow engine that can pull all of this together and make workflow, and then the orchestration elements where we can essentially take that action, that SOAR, right, security orchestration, automation, and response, full life cycle where we can take events of interest, distill them down, and take action on those events. So really what we want you to do and what we're hoping you get out of today is really the ability to leverage the ServiceNow security incident response components and really be able to drive that consistent workflow, being able to leverage the fact that we have these simple low-code, no-code security playbook capabilities that Deepak's going to showcase today, and then being able to accelerate your journey to drive efficiency into your security program to protect your organization. Lastly, I'll just leave you with a couple resources. We'll also make sure these get posted in chat. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat with a few others from the ServiceNow side. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the Q&A. But these are a couple of the resources of the security community, which we're going to reference again later, which is a great place for you to share information, ask questions, get feedback. And then our great team on the product side has created this really nice, really easy to use quick start cheat sheet for how to get started with security incident response, especially focused on phishing. Without further ado, we'll turn this things over to Deepak.
So again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Will shared some statistics that portrays the picture of the ever-increasing number of security incidents that incident responders are having to respond to. And in these times of global pandemic, we are seeing cyber criminals employing the tactic of sending phishing emails that appear to come from trusted brands like CDC or WHO, and it has become more than ever important or mission critical for analysts to accelerate the elimination of false positives to get to the actual threats fast and eliminate them with comprehensive and accurate incident response procedures. So we are putting forward 2 specialized playbook automations on developer.servicenow.com to help customers support this cause of accelerating the incident triage stage for their security analysts. Now, if you were to look at where do these playbooks fit into your current incident response process, and if you were to look at this from the perspective of your phishing response funnel, then you typically take your incidents through a staged way of filtering and triaging. Stage 1, which is where you actually consolidate and aggregate all of your user-reported phishing submissions. You begin there, and that's where what Will shared about our user-reported phishing module comes into help. To make sure that submissions belonging to the same campaign or multiple submissions of the same or similar looking email from your employee base are all aggregated into one incident without losing any of the details surrounding who forwarded the incident and what do the email headers look like. So all of that is taken care of at the consolidation stage. And typically, an organization sees anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 security incidents in any given quarter, very specific to the phishing category. So that's what we've been observing from our customers, in general. And once you get past the consolidation phase, you get to a phase of elimination, which is stage 2. And this is a phase where you employ techniques like weeding out those false positives, typically those benign emails coming from whitelisted domains or emails that employees mistook as possible phish. And our first playbook that we're introducing today enters at this stage to help you identify any repeat detections that you've already taken care of in the past. So the repeat detection playbook offers a new approach to determine if incident response has been provided to an exact or a similar phishing report in the past, and enables security analysts to work the report in a very similar way. So essentially, accelerating triage with that particular context. What we are seeing, again, from customers, including ServiceNow's own security operations, is we're able to take away as much as 55% of the work queue, which is 2,500 incidents, can actually be eliminated at this stage through the use of automations, including the repeat detection playbook. So once you get past this stage 2, the elimination stage, you get into the detection stage. And this is where you take advantage of orchestrations with third-party intelligence, like threat intelligence for reputation lookups, for observable enrichment and things like that. And our second playbook for today enters at this stage, which is the spoof detection playbook. So the spoof detection playbook helps alert analysts to the possibility of lookalike domains in the phisher's email address and gets the triage going with that particular context. So important cue to the analyst that, hey, something suspicious going on, you may want to investigate further. This, obviously can be augmented by your triage playbooks that take advantage of several integrations that Security Incident Response has built to the store, and also a brand new predictive intelligence capability, machine learning based detection of incoming user reported phish as either suspicious or benign. So this, all of these combined have the potential of taking away as much as 40% of your queue out from active investigation. In fact, predictive intelligence alone, we've seen from tests within ServiceNow take away as much as 40%. So pretty much there's a lot more potential to be gained here with the other playbooks as well. So about 1,850 incidents then gets filtered out at this stage, or potentially gets filtered out at this stage, leaving us with the last stage, which is the action stage, where the analysts are actually responding to the true positive phishing incidents, which we are seeing that only represents about 5% of the total incoming volume. So 95% of the submissions can be filtered out to optimize on your phishing response procedures, and also for productivity gains. Quick look at where do these playbooks are available, and how you can download them, and as part of the demo I'll take you to the actual site. But these playbooks are available for download on developer.servicenow.com in our share area. Share is the community-based way of sharing any ServiceNow platform automation within customers. So this is really for you and by you kind of a platform for you to share content. We are making a beginning for SecOps by posting these playbooks, but if you've been creating playbooks and automations that you think can benefit the broader community, by all means, please share them here. Now let's take a quick look at these playbooks. I'll run you through a high-level overview of these playbooks, and then we'll get into the demo. So the first playbook, the repeat detection playbook, like I mentioned, it enables incident responders to identify matching or similar phishing incidents. The match is based on two sets of characteristics. The first is on observables in the incident, such as the message ID, the email subject, and the sender's email address. So we look for commonalities in those artifacts. And the second is on the uniqueness of the match of the suspect phishing domain. So as we look at the emails, we do parse the headers, we do parse the body of the email out as part of our user-reported phishing module, and we grab the URLs, and we are able to extract the domains from the URLs. We're able to take a look at the phisher's email address and grab the sender email address as well, in addition to any suspect email attachment. So we look at the phishing domains in use, the attachments that have been that are part of the phishing submission, and the closeness of the email body match as well. So how closely does the body of the incoming submission resemble to something that we've already looked at? So this playbook has been built using Flow Designer. So it's built as a flow, and as you know, Flow Designer is our next generation workflow engine, easy, intuitive, drag and drop style experience of building playbooks in a natural language style. The playbook, the update actually also includes the ability to provide information back to the analyst on the results of the match. So while it executes behind the scenes, you also get to see information surfaced for the analyst as part of the security incident response record for the analyst to understand. A quick look at how the playbook itself looks like, and we'll do a deep dive in the demo, but this is just to kind of give you a very high level overview. The repeat detection logic is available as a subflow. So it's modularized and set it up in a way that you can actually reuse this. And the logic can actually be invoked from a playbook, and we've created a sample playbook as well as part of the update, where you can see how we have worked that particular logic in. And the results are available for the analyst to see in the security incident response form. So they can see the matched incident, the percentage match, how was the matched incident resolved, details. And we'll see all of this live when we get to the demo. The email spoof detection playbook, which is the second playbook, this enables incident responders to be on the alert for spoofing of any trusted brand. The playbook looks for similarity between the sender's email domain and any domain that's been deemed as a trusted domain in your IOC repository or captured as an observable. So the two screenshots that you see here on the left, the sender's email domain is what we pick from the user-reported phishing record, and you can designate your trusted domains. It could be third-party domains, or it could be your own company's domain as well, as a trusted domain to watch for against any spoofing activity. Now, this playbook also has been built as a flow using Flow Designer and can be triggered to run automatically. And the playbook includes the ability to alert the analyst when the spoofing attempt has been uncovered through security tags. A quick walkthrough of this playbook. The spoof detection logic is available as a subflow, and the logic can be invoked from a flow or any master playbook for that matter. And the analyst is alerted to the presence of any possible spoofing attempt going on, through a security tag. So with that, let's dive into a demo, and this demo is going to be live, and I'm going to be bringing up my instance to perform this demo. So I'm on developer.servicenow.com. So if you go to this website, log in and go to share, you will be able to see pretty much all of the projects that customers are working on or field services are working on. And here you can see security operations as one of the products listed. And you will see the two playbooks posted here, the repeat detection playbook and the email domain spoof detection playbook. You can go into the record itself, understand details. We've made some extensive documentation on how this playbook has been built. So you can download the user documentation, and then you can also download pretty much all of the update files. So these are update sets that you can download and install onto your system. We would obviously recommend you to first try it out on your dev QA or pre-prod instance before you choose to take advantage of them in prod. Now, once you update this particular these files, you would actually see a few things on your instance. So now I'm showing you an instance where I've already applied this update set, and and I've gone to Flow Designer, where you can see the actual playbooks reflecting. So you can see the email domain spoof detection playbook and the repeat detection playbook. The logic has been modularized as subflows, so you can see the spoofing detection logic as a subflow and the repeat detection logic also as a subflow. A quick look at how this playbook has been built. So let's say we go into the repeat detection playbook. So this playbook, out of the box, is designed to trigger for every incoming phishing email record. So again, this is an example. So the trigger condition has been set to run when a security incident, when a phishing email record is created or updated. And when that happens, the playbook fires. And the playbook fires, and it calls the subflow of that detects, goes into detection of any repeat incidents that have occurred in the past. And based on what that particular subflow finds, we come back and update the security incident record here. So you see this action where the security incident record is updated when a match is found with, what is the incident that we found the match with, what is the percentage match. So obviously it's a range. What was the close code and the state of the match incident, so that you can know whether it was a true positive or a false positive very quickly. A quick look into the subflow itself, which is the logic. So it takes the phishing email as the input, and it provides all of those four fields that we update in the security incident record as the output. And you can see here that it's built as, again, modular set of actions. So there are some configurations involved on how much back do you want to go in terms of number of days to actually go looking for a repeat phish incident. So by default, it's 90 days, and I'll walk you through the different configurations that we have that you can play around with to control the time window of search, as well as to control how close of a match do you want. Do you want an exact match, or do you want greater than 50% match? So you have you have those levers to tune to control the similarity match detection. So, but everything has been built as modular functions so that you can actually take this flow, subflow, and rearrange them to fit your needs. And then we look for observable records. And step 3 is where we actually go into the comparison of the observables and the comparison of the email body. We use a distance matching algorithm called Levenstein. So if you see mention of Levenstein, that's a pretty popular distance matching algorithm that compares two sets of words to see how close enough are they. And that's where the closeness of the match or the degree of match comes into play. And once the match has been found, we just assign the outputs to the subflow. So, and we do that across multiple different characteristics. So we do that with message ID, we do that with subject, and we do that with the from address. So we go about doing it in a very orderly fashion. So that's how the subflow or the playbook automation looks like here. So built with natural language style. And the annotations will help you follow what's going on in each of those specific steps. So that's how the repeat detection playbook looks like. If I were to go back and take a very similar look into the email domain spoof detection playbook, very similar in flow. It's triggered when a phishing email record is created. The email domain spoof detection logic is run. If the domain is spoofed, we add a security tag for the analyst, and we also add a work note so that for our audit trail we know that what automation has actually run. And if I were to go expand the spoof detection playbook, here you can see that I take in the phishing email, I take in a threshold, which is how close a match do you want on the email domain, and I just provide the results and the observable that was spoofed, or the domain that was spoofed, as outputs. Again, natural language style, you can pretty much read the logic here of how this playbook has been built. We extract the email domain from the phishing email. We get all domains that have been tagged as trusted domains. We calculate the domain similarity. Again, the Levenstein algorithm is used here. If the similarity exceeds the threshold, we assign subflow outputs, which is really has a match been found, and which is the observable that's been matched. So pretty simple. You can go in and even take a look at the distance matching logic within these actions. So pretty open platform that we have, where you can actually go in and take a look at it. For the tech savvy, you can definitely go modify any of these actions or scripts behind the scenes to make it do what you want. So while this is an example of how we do distance matching for a phishing response use case, there is really nothing stopping you from taking advantage of this for any other incident category, where if you're certain that the description or the short description are fields that over a period of time are consistent and resemble alerts and order a giveaway of alerts that could be duplicated in nature, you can certainly run this on any other field. Today, we just do it on the email body and with those observables. But you can repurpose them. So as you dig in, I'm sure you'll be able to figure that out. So with that, let's go and see these playbooks in action. There will be 3 scenarios that I want to show you. The first 2 scenarios are with the repeat detection playbook, wherein we will see how we are able to find a match with a false positive incident, or an incident that your analysts have already dispositioned as a false positive, sometime in the past, so that you can quickly recognize that, hey, this is something that I've dealt with in the past, and then do away with it. Also, we will see a scenario where we will look at a true positive incident, an actual phishing email on your organization, and understand, okay, when the attacker comes back with somewhat modified plan, because the attackers typically don't use the same style of phishing. They would modify their subject, or they would modify the body slightly. Likely they'll use the same phishing infrastructure, but then they would leverage that to launch more than one campaign. So when that happens, how can you still detect the closeness of match of a true positive incident? So those will be two scenarios for the repeat detection playbook. And then we will also see a scenario on how you can actually find a spoof against a trusted brand like CDC, for example. So those are the three scenarios that we will run through. And prerequisites, you'll need to have obviously security incident response installed before you apply the update set. You will need to have user reported phishing working. Typically, user reported phish sets you up to directly ingest submissions into the instance and create phishing email records and security incidents. So here you can see, ingestion rules that have been created to either ingest user reported phish submissions from an abused mailbox. If you're doing simulated phishing campaigns and want to deal with them, in a certain way, you can have rules certainly to recognize those submissions as well. But for the sake of simplicity of this demo, I'm going to be using the catalog way. We do have a self-service catalog through which users can actually report phishing email. It doesn't have to be the way of doing it. Usually our customers use the ingestion rules, but this is another way, especially when you're dealing with any third-party contractors, or if you just want a portal-based way to submit it as well. So just for simplicity, I'm going to be using the catalog-based way of submitting incidents. And all phishing email records, come in and are captured here. You can see some samples here, which is the first screen I landed in. We'll have information on what is the subject of that phishing submission, who did it come from, the message ID, who was targeted, and things of that nature. So let's look at these details, from an actual phishing submission that we're going to be, from a submission that we're going to be making, right? So let's go ahead and submit one email, and this is a false positive submission that I'm going to be making. This is an alert that came from a file share like Dropbox or Box or anything like that, and it was mistook as a phishing attempt. So I'm uploading this email, and then I'm submitting this. And as soon as I submit, you can see that a phishing email record has been created. So I can see all of the details pretty much immediately parsed out. So our first, our ingestion playbook is already kicked in, and you can see that the security incident record has also been created. So you got an alert that, hey, this submission has been processed, the security incident record has been created. We would have captured pretty much all of the headers, the body, how does it look like in a HTML format. So probably, the link to view the file was the one that made it look suspicious for the end user and resulted in the submission. Now, if I were to go into this incident, that's this brand created brand new incident, and go into the security incident record, I can see pretty much all of the details again captured, like short description and the incident details and everything else. But when you step into the related records, this is where you see the matched details already captured, because if you recall, the flow has been triggered when a security phishing record was created. So that flow already ran behind the scenes, and it found a matching incident actually. And it's a 100% match that we've seen. And this incident that the match has been found against was deemed as a false positive, and it's currently in the closed state. Now, you can go quickly take a peek into that specific record to see, does it really match, right? This particular record. So you can see here that, okay, the short description is the same as this current incident's short description. So you can see that, okay, this is probably reported by someone else and has already been investigated. So this analyst likely doesn't have to investigate this particular incident. And you can see that the body also, pretty much matches with the body of the incident that just came in. So when there is 100% match, it's exactly the same. This analyst can absolutely deflect this away and say, hey, I don't need to be even looking at this particular incident, and just also mark this as a false positive. Now you can go a step further, because a 100% match is really a high confidence match. So you can actually even have your playbook look for when there is a 100% match, and actively remove this from the analyst queue. So there is absolutely no human touch required. Completely 100% automated to remove these out of the incident queue and move them to closed. So that's how you would actually be on the trajectory to achieve that 55% of queue reduction. Is as you actively look for matches, you can determine how do you want to deal with those incidents based on the degree of match. If it's 100%, deflect them. If it's greater than 90%, maybe surface it for the analyst still by keeping it active, but moving it to, let's say, to the review stage, so that the analyst quickly looks at it and says, yep, close it, right? Or if it's somewhere in the range of 50 to 80, then you may want to say, I want to run some threat intel lookups on observable SIN. So you can really choose how you want to be dealing with these incidents based on the degree of match. So this is scenario number one. Let's go and take a look at scenario number two, where we're going to be making a submission of a true positive incident, and see how does that come into play now. So I'm going to be submitting another EML file and creating a phishing record. So there you go. I've created a phishing record. Now, again, the same ingestion playbook will run behind the scenes to create the security incident record. There you go. So I'm just going to go take a quick look at it to see what's going on. The related records doesn't have a match yet because, remember, oh, there you go. So it's come up. So this has happened in real time, where it's gone back looking at your old records, and it has in fact found a match, but not a 100% match, but a 77.32% match. So pretty close enough. And that particular incident was deemed as a confirmed phish. So now obviously the analyst will be a little bit suspicious, and he would want to go take a look at, okay, how do these two read? And if you've let's step back a little bit and take a look at the phishing email itself. So this is asking the user to verify the account. It says alert, the IT department has detected some unknown IP access, and we are asking you to click here to verify your account, possibly to grab user credentials. So when I were to go, if I go into that record on which the repeat detection logic was run, and take a look at a past email that was actually successfully detected and responded to, you can see that the subject doesn't match. The subject says help desk notice here, and the subject here says verify your account. So yeah, probably just another variant of that same phishing campaign. And it reads somewhat similar. It doesn't say alert or anything like that, but it says, hey, we detected unknown IP access. So sort of the same ploy. The modus operandi is the same, where they're making this come from your own IT department and asking you to verify your credentials. So the body match is exactly not perfect, but it's a close enough match. So that's what the algorithm has detected. And definitely the message IDs also likely don't match as well. So they're very different message ID as well. So with this, now the analyst knows that, okay, this is something I've seen in the past. They could, in fact, go to that phishing record to see how have I responded to this particular record in the past. So which threat intel orchestrations did I take advantage of? How many users were impacted? if you're using the Exchange Online integration that's available on the App Store, you can trace back pretty much all of the actions to see, how many hits did I see in user mailboxes? Did I delete the email? And why am I seeing this, campaign again? Did I not block the phishing URL in my firewalls, for example? We do have firewall blocks as well available as automations, or was it like I only blocked the URL but didn't block the domain, and as a result I'm actually seeing a different URL but based on the same domain coming in, right? So it helps them just go down that path very quickly of figuring out, okay, looks like this is something I need to quickly respond to, but let me learn from the past incident. So this is how you would the experience would be for the analyst when there's a close enough match, and they would still get to see those very same details driving their investigation forward. So that completes the second scenario. Before I go to the third scenario, I want to do some basic setup to make sure that we understand how that works actually. So I'm going to go to the observables table. So the observables table, you can create your own observables, here. And I have actually added an observable against the CDC domain as and marked it with the security tag of for domain spoofing candidate, meaning this is a trusted domain, and this could be a possible spoofing candidate. So or a domain against which spoofing attempts may be made by attackers. So that's what the tag implies, that be on the watch out for any spoofing against this trusted domain. So you can go ahead and create these observables against any of your trusted domains, including your organization's domain. So and once you tag these, then these become the list that will be watched for by that email's domain spoof detection playbook. So it goes into observables, looks for anything that's been marked as a candidate, and starts monitoring those. So this is step number one that you would do. And once you do this, we can go back and again report the same report another phishing email that actually spoofs the CDC domain, and we'll take a look at how that spoofed email looks like. So I'm going to be making another submission here. Create a phishing email record. And this submission, reads, hey, there's a community spread going on, and greater than, it's now up by 70%. And you can see something suspicious here. It uses a spoofed domain of CDC. So it's usually cdc.gov, but here it's cd-c.gov, right? Or it could be a cdc.org or any combination of those trusted brand names can be used creatively to make it look like as though it came from those specific domains actually. And again, a security incident has been created, and you can see all the details of that submission here. And if I were to go into that particular security incident, my playbook should have already run by now. And it's actually added a tag saying, hey, there is an email domain spoofing attempt likely going on because the sender's email address is likely spoofed. And you will also see details in the work note on, hey, which was the observable that was likely spoofed, or which is the domain that was likely spoofed. So we are able to actually pinpoint to that observable. Obviously, in this demonstration, we used only one observable, but when you have hundreds of observable, a check will be done against all of them, and we will point out which is that observable that this domain comes very close to, so that you can be cognizant of what's going on. So really simple. When the match is found, we alert the analyst with the security tag. Obviously, you can do several other things in your playbook based on the match. But just for a very simplistic out-of-the-box experience, we added a security tag to that particular incident record. Now, while the playbook is in action, it does take advantage of some properties behind the scenes, that will drive the logic. If you recall, I mentioned about the time window of search and the closeness of the match. All of those are available, to you as part of the properties related list. So if I go to sys properties, people familiar with the ServiceNow platform will recognize this. So you can go to system properties, and we have some out of the box properties. So the look back days, determines the time window of the search, the matching, score, determines, how much of an exact match do you want. Sometimes you want it to be a range or terminate early. We would, we can terminate early with a certain, score. So there are descriptions, available as to what each of these, properties mean. So these are a good set of properties, and we believe out of box ones are pretty solid. But you can go play around with them if you want a longer search, if you want a shorter search. Obviously, the longer the time window, the more time it would take for that logic to execute. The shorter the time window, the lesser the logic. So you can definitely play around what makes sense for your organization from a performance standpoint or for an accuracy standpoint. So you can play around with the trade-offs there. So that pretty much is only the set of properties that works outside of the playbook. Everything else is within the playbook. Themselves, what we saw in flows, essentially. So that concludes the demonstration of these two playbooks and the scenarios on how you can actually leverage them. So we are super excited for you to go lay your hands on these and give us feedback. I'll turn it back to Eric to take us through the remainder. Yeah.
All right, Deepak. Well, thank you so much. I think we are almost right on time. So we have a couple of questions. Will, I'm going to turn to you because you answered the question from Balaji about predictive intelligence.
Yes.
Does that mean that the SecOps data from a customer instance will be sent to the, quote, ServiceNow training service, end quote, for the machine learning?
But let me start off by just kind of reiterating a couple key points to this question. One, I want to make sure, because Deepak did mention in the beginning that predictive intelligence is a capability that we've released on SecOps for doing that code matching, right? So essentially being able to help you identify false positives or, be able to eliminate some of that noise from a phishing perspective. So first and foremost, right, these two workflows, these playbooks that Deepak just went through do not require predictive intelligence. Okay, so just to be clear on those two workflows, they are not leveraging that engine. On the flip side, right, the predictive intelligence is that Orlando platform feature, right, that is available for multiple solutions, and now we have this in SIR. So Deepak, if you don't mind, I want you to give a little color. I don't know if I did a great job explaining how the intelligence service works, but how do we send the data to the training? What's required from a customer's instance, an external
Sure.
instance, et cetera?
No, you're spot on, Will. I think good clarification. Both of these playbooks, don't have any reliance on the predictive intelligence or machine learning functionality. So you can use them today, available to all SAR customers. No need for any third-party orchestration capabilities as well. So these are plain and simple ones. And the predictive intelligence functionality, that's a platform, ServiceNow platform functionality. And we've made use of the classification framework. In the world of machine learning, you have different techniques being used, and we use classification here. And data actually gets is from your own instance is used for building the model. So these are supervised machine learning models that we build. Right, so which means we look at your past triage behaviors through your close codes. We look at the user-reported phishing submissions coming in. We look at the some pieces of the headers. No PII information is taken out, like, who was it sent to and things of that nature. We only go looking for characteristics of the email, like the email body, URLs and things like that, and your close codes. And we would actually train the model on a training infrastructure that resides outside of your instance. And this is the way ServiceNow today does training for all of the other use cases, including ITSM use cases. So we would take the data out, train it in a training infrastructure, delete the data. The data is not persisted, and the model is brought back into your ServiceNow instance. And every time a prediction happens, we would send the model to a predictor infrastructure that resides in the same data center outside of your instance to get the prediction back. So very high level, that's how machine learning works on the ServiceNow infrastructure, and that's how it's leveraged by SIR as well for the user-reported phishing use case. The benefit is, when a submission comes in, we are able to deem it as either suspicious or legitimate based on your past triage behavior, and that can be a first or triage point for you to look at that and say, okay, if it's legitimate, then likely, I want to get to it later. But if it's suspicious, those are the ones that I want to get to first.
Thank you for the precision, Deepak. Glad to hear that no PII is being shared. That's probably a key point. So we had a question earlier when you were talking about the playbooks from Derek. And the question was, will this process rely on an EML file, or can a secondary source be used? For example, proof point alert in a SIR created by Logarithm.
Yeah. Good question. Do you want to take it, Will? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, so I replied a little bit to Derek already. So, Derek, I just want to make sure you understand that the logic that was built into these playbooks does apply, and the entire audience, right, to the phish records. So it's looking for something that has been processed through our email inbound parser. So in this case, right, that's specific to those types of records. So what that means is you can have an EML file, right, come into the system and be parsed through that inbound email. You can also forward emails from an email platform. So one of the comments you mentioned was Proofpoint. So today, even ServiceNow internally forwards emails from Proofpoint directly into ServiceNow instance, and using our email inbound parsers, it will create that phish record, which will then allow you to apply that playbook as designed right out of the box. Now, the key piece there with these playbooks, and any playbooks that I want to just add color, and then I'll let Deepak add his piece, is all of these are really designed as really core templates for you guys and everyone, for everyone, right, to be able to leverage, to customize, right, to create, to take them and essentially use them as templates to apply any logic you want. So for a quick example there, if you had alerts coming from, say, Logarithm, and you wanted to look at deduplication concepts that are similar to what we use with phish based on observables or percent matching and things like that, not formal dedupe, but more of this matching concept, you could absolutely modify this playbook, right, so that it's doing this analysis at an SIR record level, specifically instead of the phish email first, right? So you just have to use the playbooks based on the construct that they're made and just adapt them to your use cases. So Deepak, you probably want to add some other color to that. Feel free.
No, you are spot on, right? So we've created a system of record to capture details so that incident response process can be done in a fairly consistent way, irrespective of the source they arrive from. So it could be user-reported phish coming directly into the instance, forwarded from an abused mailbox, or even created by a third party like Proofpoint. We do have several vendors in that space that we work with as part of our integrations that create security incident records. As long as they are able to take advantage of the database or the data model that we put in place, then the additional automations, predictive intelligence functionality, everything that we base it off that data model can be taken advantage of as well. Absolutely. There's one more question that's come in just now.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know if you answered it.
Is creating a SIR from a phish record optional?
The way the workflow works behind the scenes is once a phish record comes in, the flow triggers to create a security incident record. So if you go disable that flow today, then a security incident is not created. But that's how the out-of-the-box setup is. But your analyst will typically work off security incident records. So we would recommend that you use the out-of-the-box design. But if you have certain other use cases where you don't want to be creating a record, immediately, maybe you want to be doing some level of triage in the phishing email records, you can certainly, extend the functionality to only create it, on demand, doing your own customizations. But we have added the aggregation logic into that flow where it looks for matching subject, sender, message ID, and aggregates multiple phishing records into the same security incident record. So that's how the design works. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have only a couple of minutes left. Will, I think I'll pass it back to you for the closing remarks.
Yes, I will kind of leave us all with a couple different asks too of the community at large out there. So we are as a team internal to ServiceNow, we're trying to adopt models to try to help get content out to the market more efficiently, right, than just through product releases, which has become very agile. If you're not familiar with the store release process for ServiceNow security products, please reach out to your account team. We'd be more than happy to dig into that with you. The developer.servicenow.com, the share section on that, it does give us a great place for all of us to connect. So consider this your community. If you have great content that you've created, you want to get it out there and share it, please do. We will continue to try to find ways to release content like this, or even maybe not as mature content, but content that you can leverage. This content was released with lots of really good documentation. It's very product-oriented content, so please know these two flows are very reliable. You can certainly adopt them. The other thing I would say is the way that developer works, it's not exactly the best collaboration platform always for us to communicate. So what I would suggest, we've essentially linked these two different services between developer.servicenow.com and the community forum that's also posted here in the chat. Please go out to the community forum. That's where you're going to find all the great content around the security products. It's also a really good forum for you to be able to communicate with us. So if you have questions, concerns, comments, etc., that is a fantastic place because there's multiple personalities at ServiceNow that get access to those comments and can help you, including other customers externally. The last thing I'll mention is if you're not leveraging, if you have SIR today or you don't have SIR today, right, please feel free to reach out to your local account teams. We would love to do demos or help you guys understand kind of the core concepts there. The last thing I'll leave you with is if you have SIR and you're not using it for phishing, I really, really strongly recommend, we put a lot of really great development effort into trying to drive efficiencies for your organization. And I would strongly recommend check out the Get Started, the Quick Start guide that our product team has put together. It's a very quick one-pager with lots of great resources. That will guide you towards getting started with phishing. And again, please reach out to your account teams or your partners, your services contacts. Happy to help you get started, but I think there's a ton of efficiency value that we can gain for your organization.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Will. We are bang on the hour. So thank you very much to Deepak and Will for your time and your expertise. And thank you to our audience for attending this webinar. Bye-bye.